What is it about building did Solomon know from which we can extract lessons that you and I can apply in our lives, in our businesses, in our careers, in our vocations? One of the greatest constants in life is building. From the day you are pulled out of your mother's womb to the day we will inter you, you're always building. You're building a career, you're building your reputation, you're building wealth, you're building relationships, you're building connections, you're building investment portfolios. We are constantly building. From the time the sun comes up to the time that the sun will go down, you are constantly engaged in building. Christ simplified it for us by saying that there are only two types of builders in any area of human endeavor. The one type of builder, Christ said, is a wise builder. Characteristic of this wise builder is that individual that has gone to the rock. And the rock here would mean that thing in that space that is immovable. When you're building a family, what is that thing that you and your family members have arrived at that this is immovable? When you're building a career, what is that component that you have arrived at and you have said, this is immovable? When you're building your relationships, when you're building your reputation, what is that component that you have arrived at that this is immovable? Just in the same way, when we are putting up structures, we say that this rock is immovable. So Christ says that this type of people, they are regarded as wise builders. They are wise builders in marriages. They are wise builders in sports. They are wise builders in investment. They are wise builders all around. The other type of builders that Christ brought to our attention is what he called foolish builders. Foolish builders are so superficial that they don't take time to consider that which is immovable. A foolish builder will just go by what they see. They will go by their impulses, what appeals to their impulses. They are foolish builders when it comes to building marriage. They are foolish builders when it comes to building children, how you're building your posterity, how you're building your reputation. So they are foolish builders everywhere. Regardless of whether you are a wise builder or a foolish builder, one thing is constant. Life happens. Life happens to a wise builder the same way life will happen to a foolish builder. Life will happen to someone in marriages. Life will happen to your health. Life will happen to your career, your business, your reputation, your integrity. Life will happen. What is the point of departure between a wise builder and a foolish builder is that when life happens and after it, we don't see foolish builders because life swept them away. Your career will happen and your career would want to sweep you away. Your marriage will happen at some point and your marriage will wish to sweep you away. So let me ask you, at this juncture, have you identified that thing that is immovable? In your relationships, what is that thing that is immovable? With your career, with your prospects in your marketplace, what are those things that are immovable? The way you're going about building your company, building your business, have you identified that component that is immovable? That is what is characteristic of a wise builder. So I have labored on this point just to clarify for us that regardless of where you are in life, you are embarking, you are engaged in a building project. You might not be aware of it. You might be taking it casually. You might just be looking at it. I'm just here to have fun. I want you to know, in you having fun, you are building. So let's go back to the wisdom of Solomon. What did Solomon know about building that if you and I can glean lessons from, then we can be wise builders? So our consideration is taken from Proverbs 24, verse 3. By wisdom, a house is built. Why a house? Because a house is a structure for human habitation. So if you regard your career as that thing that is sufficient that will sustain the habitation of your family, then your career qualifies as a house. Of course, there is that element of a house, a physical structure. But similarly, a house means something that is sufficient for human habitation. When you're looking at your reputation, when you're looking at the way you're building your relationships, are they sufficient that they can contain habitation of your family, your posterity? Then that qualifies as a house. So a house is built by one thing, wisdom. In what areas of your career are you wise? In what areas of your business are you wise? In what areas of your talent, your creativity are you wise? And if you can be wise, you can be deliberate with that component. Wisdom is different from one individual to another. There are aspects of wisdom that are constant, but this aspect of wisdom, not all of us want to live in the same structure. Some of us, we are just comfortable with a bungalow. Others would want for a maisonette. So regardless of the structure you want, the first qualifier in any area of life is, are you wise in that area? In my classes, I always demonstrate this point that if you ever identify an individual in any area of life that is envied, that individual knows something that their peers don't. In your career, if you look at that person that is constantly killing it, that individual knows something that the peers don't. So that is the greatest differentiator in life, that your wisdom and the level of wisdom you have in your career, the level of wisdom you have in your vocation can make it up a habitation for humans, a habitation for you and your family, a habitation for you and your loved ones, a habitation for your posterity. So by wisdom, a house is built. The same way in the world of construction, the integrity of a house is the blueprint. So the integrity of what you're building today in the marketplace is inversely proportional to the level of wisdom you have in that area. In your career, the integrity of how you have charted and you have considered a career path for yourself is inversely proportional to the level of wisdom you have in your career. So that is very important for us to begin to consider. By wisdom, a house is built. Among other things, you might require land to put up a structure, but in places whereby your talent should be sufficient for human habitation, it's by wisdom in that area of talent. By understanding, it is made firm. So the function of wisdom is to build. Wisdom does not have a function of making things firm. Wisdom does not have a function of making things deeper, structured. So let me ask you, in your ways and how you go about your career, if life was ever to happen, what is that one thing that would make you firm? If life was to happen in your business, the way you're building your company, what is that one thing that would make you firm? And that is why in our classes, I constantly mention the word understanding. We are advised that in understanding, be human. In all your acquisition, ensure you acquire understanding. Why? Understanding is that component that will entrench you in whichever space you are. In whichever area of human endeavor, it is understanding that entrenches all of us. Your understanding, particularly if that understanding is a way above your peers, if that understanding is disproportionately puts you way above of your colleagues, your competition. So today I would want you to ask yourself, what is the level of my understanding in my career, whatever career you are? What is the level of understanding I have in this thing? How I'm building my product, If that product was to be entrenched, what is that component that would make it firm at the marketplace? What is that component that will make your career firm at the marketplace? Solomon tells us it is understanding. Understanding is the principal thing. Wisdom helps you to put up structures. Wisdom will help you to design the layout, but understanding will help you to entrench it. Wisdom will inform how you lay out your career path. Wisdom will enable you put up a business plan, a business model, but the thing that will make you firm in that business is understanding. Always go for understanding. But you cannot go for understanding without having started with wisdom. So it's important that we look at, what do I understand? Do I understand that which is generic that everyone knows? Or do I understand something that puts me disproportionately above my peers? Is my understanding in my craft placing me disproportionately above my competitors? It's very important. The other one is, and by knowledge are its rooms filled with every precious and pleasing possession. Knowledge is interesting that inasmuch as understanding will entrench you and make you firm, the thing that makes you diverse, because it's knowledge that brings in the element of rooms. Wisdom will just lay out a structure. Understanding will make sure that that structure is firm. But that thing that gives you diversity, that thing that makes you constantly fresh, constantly new, that thing that makes you appealing beyond your peers is knowledge. Knowledge should not be confused with information. Information is anything that we get externally. We should not confuse knowledge with education. But this video is not interested in us distinguishing the two. I just want you to understand that knowledge is different from education. Knowledge is different from information. Whatever you are knowledgeable at, whatever you're knowledgeable in, will give you the power of diversity. The power that you can make it appear in newness every other time. That is what we need in our time at the marketplace. Solomon knew that even before we considered civilization, the Western civilization. Solomon knew that the thing that made him diverse, the thing that made Solomon to be sought after, was knowledge. That individual had knowledge in things that had never entered the hearts of men. Today, if you want to go a niche, if you want to go steps ahead, you need to ask yourself, what is my area of knowledge? Knowledge makes you diverse. Knowledge differentiates you. Knowledge distinguishes you. So if you wish for distinguishing in your career, if you wish to be differentiated in your career, I would suggest you go for knowledge. But you cannot have knowledge without being entrenched. These three things are tripartite. You cannot have understanding until you're wise in an area. Do you want to go for investment? You need to cultivate wisdom in investing. Do you want to go for career? You need to cultivate wisdom in career. Then after you have grasped wisdom, then go for understanding. Because that understanding, according to what Christ told us, will help you arrive at the rock. That thing that is immovable. It is understanding that makes us firm. Our marketplaces, we want them to be firm. Let's go for understanding. Our service delivery, our value proposition, let's go for understanding. And after understanding, then let's pursue knowledge, because that knowledge makes us diverse. That knowledge will differentiate you from your peers. That knowledge sets you apart. That knowledge distinguishes you. My name is Ogwang.